For my final project, I did the Last Judgment of Hunefer. This was a fragment recovered from the Book of the Dead, written by Hunefer himself, with its express purpose in aiding Hunefer in getting into the afterlife. Now, Hunefer wrote this during the New Kingdom era of the Egyptian Empire, and it was very unique that he could have afforded such a thing. So he was from a very much an upper class, near to the royal family. I could not get papyrus for my recreation, so I found a piece of paper from the supply store that simulated papyrus. It has a similar coloring to it, a similar texture, and a similar kind of frayed and ripped quality along the edges. I will be breaking the scroll down into sections in which to analyze. This is the first scene of Hunefer's judgment. Hunefer, depicted kneeling on the left, presents his case to an audience of kneeling gods. Hunefer makes his case that he lived an ethical and good life and thus deserves to live in the afterlife. I used colored pencils, different combinations of these colors, fusions of these colors, and I outlined with a black. Hieroglyphics can be seen throughout the Last Judgment of Hunefer. They were spells and incantations as to how to better your chances in getting into the afterlife. I used a black stencil pen to convert these hieroglyphics onto my representation. So this is the first half of the papyrus scroll in which Hunefer will be judged. Here, after having made his case to the gods, Anubis leads Hunefer to the scales for his word to be weighed, if it is truthful or if it is not truthful. In his right hand, Anubis holds the Ankh, the symbol of eternal life. So this is a very cool scene. Anubis, having led Hunefer to the scale, now adjusts the scale to make sure it's correct. On the left, in the scale, you can see Hunefer's heart being placed in the scale, and on the right is the feather of truth. His heart will be weighed against the feather of the truth, and you can see that the scale tips towards the feather of truth. The feather of truth is heavier, his heart is lighter, and therefore Hunefer is telling the truth. He will not be devoured by the crocodile devourer who would normally eat the hearts of the liars. This devourer has the head of a crocodile, the mane and upper body of a lion, and the bottom and feet of a hippopotamus. And so he was a very interesting and fun challenge from an artistic point of view. This is the scribe god, who is carefully marking down and recording all of the proceedings that are happening. And so here he writes ever attentively that Hunefer has survived, and that he will now go to meet the god Osiris. Horus, the hawk god, leads Hunefer to be presented to Osiris now that he has successfully passed the test. Horus, like Anubis, holds the Ankh in his hand, the symbol of eternal life. The throne scene with Osiris, is definitely the most challenging from an artistic point of view. I had to do all the right patterns. There are many different patterns that you have to do, shadings of colors. I made it as accurate as possible, having the correct number of and sequence of colors. But it was very rewarding because it is a beautiful and colorful product. And here you can see the very symbols of eternal life. The lotus flower in the left corner, it's a symbol of eternal life. as is the ostrich feather being held by the eye of Horus in the top left-hand corner. Osiris himself is seated like an Egyptian pharaoh on top of his throne with his sisters to his right, Isis and Nephima. Uh, and it's an incredible thing. The canopy itself is just magnificent. So here's one final look of the whole judgment in its entirety. And it was a as it was for Hunefer, it was a journey for me, because as I did each section over a course of a week or so, I really learned from it, and my art improved, and my respect for their fascination and obsession with the afterlife, it really grew on me. I mean, just doing the hieroglyphics as it went along, it was really a learning experience for me, and it was terrific, and culminating with his success. It's the suspense of the story, him weaving his tale, being truthful but still trying to make it sound as good as possible, and then being judged and having that climax of whether he will live or die, and then finally the reward being seen by the God of all gods. It really is a terrific thing. I hope that Hunefer in his tomb can appreciate my interpretation of his judgment. Thank you. Joe Bizzetti signing off.